Welcome, and it is a honor for you to join us again for another great episode of Transformed and Renewed. If this is your first time joining us, make sure that you like and subscribe this video as well as our channel. So whether you're on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, make sure you like our channel, or even Instagram. Make sure you do that right now before you proceed. Okay, so make sure you do that. But again, I do want to welcome you again to Transformed and Renewed. And tonight we're going to be doing things slightly different. We're going to be talking more so about some investing areas, but it still relates to nutrition and health. And you'll see as we dive into it, which we're just going to do right now. So when it comes down to it, we are discussing the topic of how to understand the CPI and how that can basically benefit your family's well-being as well as yourself. Okay, so when it comes down to, at least in the States, and we've seen over the past year that inflation has been hot. Okay, it's been hot like the weather. Okay, it has been soaring. Even when you look on the news or even check out different news outlets, they would tell you that inflation is at its all-time high, or at least with the Fed rates, they have been at an all-time high. And I think, just trying to briefly check what the current interest rates are, because I just want to give this information to you, because that's going to help us as we really dive into tonight's topic. So I think that, if I'm not mistaken, let's see, what is the current rate on this? The current Fed rate. And like I said, we're going to be talking about this because this is going to have an actual effect on some spending that we actually do. And so when we really think about it, I think it is currently at, let's see, what is it at? Current Fed interest rate. I want to say it's at like 5 or some percent currently, or four, I think it's raise rate to 5.25%. Okay, so that's pretty high. So, but let's really dive into the definition of CPI. So CPI is basically a measure of the average change over time, in prices that are paid by consumers. And so this could be pertaining to consumer goods and services. So when we think about last year versus this year, or even going back 5 years and comparing that to the change in time over up until this year, we can see that there have been some changes. And I'm actually going to show some graphs for us to really see it. But now that we understand what the CPI means, which is Consumer Price Index, and we understand that this is a measure in the change in time over prices that are paid by consumers for goods and services, we can now realize, well, I understand, okay, CPI now, but what does that really have to do with myself or health or nutrition? It has a lot to do, excuse me. It has a lot to do, because one thing I would say is, when I was at the grocery store, likely a couple months ago or even a year ago, when the Fed was doing a lot of interest rate hikes, I saw firsthand the consequences of that, literally. So 1 week in the store, and I could tell you, in this grocery store, where eggs were 50 cents a carton. Now, these were just conventional eggs. They were not cage free, not organic, not free roam or able to roam type eggs, or even large or brown eggs. These are just regular conventional eggs, 50 cents. Fast forward to a month after interest rates or the interest rates were hiked, those same eggs that were 50 cents ended up being, guess what? $3. Okay. I can't make this up. $3.50. Now, if you were to basically do the math on that, I think that is roughly about a 600% increase, if I'm doing my math correctly. So from 50 cents to, yeah, $3, that's about a 600% increase, because if it was $5, that would have been a thousand 1,000% increase in price. So from 50 cents to $5, that is 1,000% increase. Now you may be saying, well, that is far fetched. Well, if it went to $3, it's not far from $5. Okay. And so what does that have to do again with health? It has a lot to do, because if you are putting money towards, different foods, grocery shopping, like I've been sharing with you a couple months ago, and often as I do, I share that you want to ensure that you're getting your habits together, because during times like this where the prices continue to increase, it's going to start to become very interesting with how you spend money, especially with getting certain things at the same price, especially when your finances are not expanding as much. Because again, when interest rates increase, but yet your money is not increasing, then there are some issues. And unfortunately, historically, a lot of people have been on the, I guess, the bad end of it, at least those who are not aware of the news. But you are not unaware, because I'm sharing this with you. So let's really look at this a little deeper. And if you're not able to visually see this screenshot or the screen that I'm about to share, then I will share the website with you. And this is actually from the website of brandyliabilitystocks.gov. That is www.brandyliabilitystocks.gov. And so, of course, when I say Brandy Liability Stocks, I'm referring to the first letter of those words to better give you an idea of what the website is. So once you go to this website, we will, let's see, yes, there we go, there we go, let's see. Okay, so as you can see, this site shows the consumer price index, and of course, it pretty much has everything laid out. And so as you can see here, these are essentially the major areas when it comes to food, energy, and then it says all items minus food. And in some of these categories, it could include retail, beverages, etc. And I think when it comes to, it may include beverages. I'm not sure how they parse out the data, but at least we can tell that from food, we know that this is referring to, a mixture of whether you're preparing food at home or whether you're getting food out. And once I click on this module, if you're following um, through our audio, you'll see that we are on this chart, and it's showing food at home and then food away from home. Now, this actually shows from this legend or this title, it shows that this is based on the 12-month percentage change. Okay. So as you can see, that food spent at home, so these percentages are based on what the average consumer was able to spend for food at home. So if you're grocery shopping, you're likely buying produce or products in the middle aisle or even meats or dairy. This is considered food at home, versus food away from home would be foods that you're getting out at a restaurant, whether it's delivery, curbside, etc. These are prepared foods. Now get this, food at home is at about 3%, 3.6% increase from last year. So from July 22 to July 23 of this year, this past July, there was a 3.6 increase from food purchased for at home. Okay, so this was just grocery shopping. But food away from home is basically doubled that at about 7.1%. Now that is interesting. Like that is a complete doubling. So more people. So for every one person that was getting groceries out, you had two individuals who were getting food at restaurants. And this is not surprising, to be honest, because if you were to just go out in whatever major city you're in, you'll see that In reality, you'll see that you have people who are grocery shopping, but you'll likely see double, if not more than that, at restaurants or even ordering food, picking it up, getting it delivered. And so this is interesting when we see this data, but it's 7.1% from last July of 22 versus 23. That's not far from 10%. So you can imagine when inflation continues to go up or prices are really realized in the markets, how this number will increase. And this is amazing because, again, when we really think about these numbers, sometimes we don't really know or really think about, you know what, I'm spending on food and groceries and I see that food prices are getting high. I can't do anything about it. Well, actually, you can. And what you can actually do is really doing some better planning. Again, it comes back to your habits. What are you purchasing? Why are you purchasing it? Especially when it comes to food or any, health related items. And are you, whatever you're purchasing it, is it really beneficial for you? Again, don't want you to have to answer that right now, but it is something to think about because, again, this is a process, especially when it comes to inflation. Prices don't just rise up one day and fall the next day. Usually, if they rise up, they may stay that way for some time. And I can tell you with some of the items that I used to purchase, not to say I don't purchase them, but I have just become more strategic about certain items that I get, as well as where I get them, and also looking at the overall value of those. And so I take a collective approach when it comes to buying certain things. And this is just something for you to consider because, again, when it comes down to stretching your dollars or ensuring that your money is able to accommodate the things that you need it to do, this is going to become quite handy with knowing these tools. With, okay, if I see, for example, the prices of my favorite chips going up by $1.50 when they were $3. Now that could roughly be about a 20-25% increase. It could be more, just rough math. But that is a pretty sharp increase, okay? And if you're likely purchasing that usually 3 times or even 4 times a month, then that can start to get into your budget, especially when you have other expenses. And so this is also important because sometimes relationships can become slightly toxic, especially when it comes around these finances and people are not able to forecast or even just sit down with the numbers and say, you know what, this could possibly go up. So let's see how we can better strategize or at least plan or, am I willing to adjust some of my habits, my spending habits to be a lot better, in terms of food selection, as well as choices in terms of I really don't need this right now because it's not helping me to achieve my goals. This is just something that makes me feel good, but it's not really helping me to be a better person. So these are just some questions for you to consider. And then again, this is also another resource that you might find, and it's on the same website, the brandyliabilitystocks.gov website. And this is a CPI inflation calculator. So as you can see, I basically used a rough number, but let's just look at this for instance. Let's say that you have a budget, and let's say that your grocery budget, I don't know, it could have been $90 a month, okay? It could have been anywhere from $70 to $90 a month. So if we did 90 times 12, let's see what that is. I think that is 90 times, so now 90 times 10 is that. So that is like 1080. At least when I do 90 times 10, it's 900. So 90 times 12 is 108. Yes. So we do 1080 in terms of grocery shopping. So if we're spending $90 a week for groceries, let's calculate that to see how that looks with the inflation calculator. Okay, now as we see here, this is just showing us that from July 22 to July 23, where we spent 1080 in groceries. Now, this is just one area. Of course, you can factor in other expenses to really see, okay, how much am I actually paying this year? So we went from 1080 to 1114 and 32 cents. Now that is basically over $100 increase. Okay, that is, I would probably say it's about a, let's see, at least a 10% increase. Yes, or yeah, I think it's about 7% increase. So from 180 to, or 1080 to 1114. So that's about 7% somewhere along the lines. But we can see that if we're not careful with some people and you're spending on groceries or food or even dining out, these numbers may not even be a factor to you. But again, when you start to notice that your dollars are not stretching as much, then using something like this will kind of help you to see, okay, man, I can actually see that I'm spending almost $100 more when it comes to groceries. How much more am I spending on other areas? And so this also can help with better seeing, okay, what do I really need when I'm grocery shopping? And this is some of the things that I actually did for myself. Like, what are some of the essentials that I need? And when I think of essentials, I think of meals. Like, what are foods that I can eat? And not only eat, but what are going to be the foods that I can actually eat without wasting? So, my waste is going to be, for me, I like to look at my waste as less than 5%. So that means that I am eating basically everything that I buy. And anything that is wasted, it is almost less than an ounce. Okay. And so that is a way of being strategic, especially when you start to look at these numbers. And again, it may also take you working with a financial advisor, especially when it comes to your finances, because again, I don't claim to be a financial advisor. But again, this is a tool that is available to you to really calculate, number one, how much you're going to be spending when it comes to food. And number two, being able to understand, are you willing to adjust your habits, especially when it comes down to this? Because again, when you are able to grasp some of these skills, especially when it comes to inflation and rate hikes, especially with the economy, a lot of uncertainties are just at play. But there are some things that we can do so that way we don't feel like we are just getting the information and we have basically just been missing out on really taking advantage of some resources. And so, again, I just want to share this information with you in case you've never heard of this or even aware of this. I'm putting this out there because, again, this is information that you should know for you and your family. Because, again, when things start to really take off, especially when the media starts to cover different news, a lot of times it is usually after basically things have gone south for some time, and now most people cannot really take advantage of resources because they have been basically late at receiving the information. Okay, so again, hope that you found this information helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me because I do want to answer any questions that you have. And also, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel at Robody1212. That way you can stay up to date with the latest information because, again, we are doing some great things, as I continually say. And trust me, we are getting there. It is a process, but we are going to be rolling out some services that we hope that you will like. And so I just thank you for being patient with us. And again, if you want to support us, make sure that you like and subscribe to our page at Robody1212. Follow us on Spotify as well as our other podcasting site, Fountain.fm. And this way you can help support us with Satoshis. And these are cryptocurrencies that can help us to build our platform. And if you want to do so monetarily, you can go to our website at robody.org and you can click on the donate link, and that will allow you to provide the donation of your choice, whether it's cash or cryptocurrency. So we appreciate just you tuning into our website, just listening to our episodes. And if you found that these are helpful, please send us a message because we really appreciate that. So until next time, I hope that you enjoy your evening wherever you are. And again, make sure that you are taking the time to review this information about the CPI. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me because, again, I do want to help you the best way I can. So until next time, I hope that you enjoy, and I will talk with you